guys, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Fiona, and on this channel we talk about knitting, crocheting, sewing, and all other crafty projects. Today, I wanted to talk about the Relaxagon pattern. I have been on a lifelong hunt to find wearable crochet projects. I tend to find that crochet projects can be a little bit see-through with the way that the fabric is made, so it's been hard for me to integrate crochet into my wardrobe when I make it. This Relaxagon pattern seemed perfectly wearable because I could layer it over a crop top, over a t-shirt, or even over a bathing suit to wear to the beach. What started out with one project has now spiraled into 4 different shirts that I've made over the course of 2 years, and I'm going to walk you through each of them today. In the summer of 2023, I decided to make a shirt for my boyfriend. I wanted to make it in cotton yarn so that way it would be nice and light for the summer. And I found someone selling an undyed worsted weight cotton yarn lot for pretty cheap on Facebook. I bought 4 skeins and I got a skein of red tie-dye sugar and cream cotton to use as the stripe. This project is hilariously poorly executed. Worsted weight is not the right weight of yarn to be using here. Even worse, the cotton yarn is super stiff, so working with it was just downright unpleasant. I had wrist pain and I had to use a tennis ball to help be more ergonomic with my crochet hook. The fabric came out weighing several pounds and is not fun and flowy like a summer shirt should be. Here it is. In case you can't tell, it does not move nicely and it weighs a ton. It looks good though on camera. I attempted to soften it when I read on the internet that you can use hair conditioner to soften the fibers and make the yarn less stiff and a nightmare to work with. So I ended up putting it all in my bathtub and trying to rinse these skeins of yarn as well as the work that I had already done to just make it softer and like more wearable because I was still under the delusion that this would be wearable. That didn't work. I ended up with a huge tangled knotted mess of yarn that I had to unwind, but you know what? We live and we learn. I blocked the finished project hoping that these fibers would lessen in tension and just moved on. Anyway, this shirt is for my boyfriend who, for the purposes of this video, the only thing you need to know about him is he is way nicer to me than he needs to be. I finished this shirt just in time for the end of June and he wore it to one event at the end of June very kindly and really ended up carrying it around most of the day because it is too hot to wear outside. To be honest, I still feel a little guilty when I look at the picture because nothing truly hurts worse than a flop project. Hey guys, camera died, so welcome to my apartment in the daytime. Only slightly deterred by my failure and floppage, I ordered some very light fingering weight yarn from Amazon on Prime Day. I got green and white inspired by this shirt. I got this Elise Diva, and it worked great. This project went a lot better. The yarn was fun and breezy and easy to work with, and the fabric that it worked up was a lot more wearable. The result is an incredibly wearable and striking stripy tee that I've gotten so many compliments on while I've just been walking around on the street. Here she is. She's got a lot of stripes. So one time I was wearing this while I was out and about and someone walked by me and said, "What up, Kermit?" without breaking stride, which was hilarious and reminded me that I'm a real person that can be perceived on the street when I'm walking around New York because sometimes I get comfortable in my public anonymity. Now, this would be the point where I point out how well my ends are sewn in and I show off how with it I am for staying on top of perfecting my projects and having the finished product be all done. So you do not need to look at the inside of this garment. All the ends are sewn in, I swear. Stop asking. Stop the cameras. Ultimately, this shirt ended up being added to my boyfriend's closet as well. I figure button-downs really aren't my style at the end of the day, but they're his, and not to toot my own horn, but I think that I got him a little bit ahead of the crochet shirt trend that men are wearing this summer in 2024. I would rather that the things that I make get worn and used, and I love how much wear he gets out of it. He even wore it to his album release show. Now, here is where I take a crocheting break. In fall of 2023, I picked up knitting again after crocheting feverishly for the past 3 years, and I left my hooks behind. Until summer really is crochet season, isn't it? I found myself leaning towards crochet projects throughout this summer as I have transitioned out of the winter and my knitting frenzy. In an effort to work through my intimidating yarn stash, I have been trying to use up the extra yarn that I've accumulated. With that Amazon Prime order, I also ordered some cream and brown yarn, which I used to make my third Relaxagon that I made for my friend Henry. Here he is rocking it. It is currently in his closet, so I do not have the actual product to show you, but I will make do with pictures. In an effort to make some content for my Knitstagram, which I started posting on in the beginning of this calendar year, feel free to follow me at Made by Fiona to keep up with more of my makes in more real time. I decided to make this shirt for my friend Henry, as I previously mentioned, who is in a band with my partner, and I thought that the brown yarn that I ordered would go great with his general aesthetic. To top it off, his mom is one of my biggest fans on Instagram, so if you want a free shirt, just have your mom hype me up. It's really just that easy. All right, I haven't talked about how the pattern works yet, so let's break it down while we're discussing shirt number 3. The basis of the pattern works off of one foundation chain, which is used as the only calculation and measurement that you need to start the entire shirt. The shirt is made up of 2 hexagons that are then crocheted together to create a shirt. The hexagons are folded in half, so that way you can create a sleeve and a front and a back of the 2 halves of the shirt. They are created by working around the entire foundation chain. You can see on this green sample the stripes that make up the hexagon and how it is worked in one continuous loop. Of course, my friend Henry is 6 feet tall, which is much taller than me, and because I was surprising him with the shirt, I literally had to guess as to how long the shirt had to be. I just ended up just using a different shirt, which is a jersey that is a size medium, that is a pretty oversized medium, to guesstimate the size that would fit him. And I also leveraged some of my taller friends to be my models while I checked the fit. I gave up on the surprise factor for Henry once I finished both hexagons that make up the 2 halves of the shirt, and I decided to just check the fit on him while we were hanging out at a bar one night. Once I found out that my guesstimations were correct, I was able to finish the shirt, sew in all my ends, for real this time, sew in my tag, which is new, and then give it to him the day before the previously mentioned album release show, so both of my shirts were on display, which was really awesome. I need my mic. The boys slayed, and they looked incredible on stage. They looked so good, in fact, that their producer commissioned a shirt off of me that night. So I'm very particular about taking commissions. I prefer to make things for my friends as gifts, but I also see an opportunity to break even when I'm making my crafting, just to make things for a little bit of extra money. I'm only interested in making that deal with people who understand the value of my time and, artistic talents and efforts and all the practice that has gone into developing this skill. But Joe's a music producer. He's a creative as well, so it was an easy deal once I told him the value of these shirts and my time. Joe picked out the colors of his yarn, ironically choosing the same colors as the shirt that I made for my boyfriend, which is awesome because I had a little bit left over, so if I needed a little bit extra, I would have it on hand. Here's the finished product. This is my favorite Relaxagon I've made to date. At this point, the pattern is semi-seared into my brain, and these granny square double crochet clusters are my nemesis. I would love to not do them again, but I know I will be making more of this shirt because it is one of my favorite things to make, and I know that everyone that I make it for really gets a lot of wear out of it. And like, what's better as a maker than seeing people actually use and appreciate and enjoy the things that you spend all the time creating for them? With that motivation in mind, I still needed to set an arbitrary deadline for myself to finish this project, because I am one of those people that chronically casts on new projects and will just cast aside my old project that no longer sparks joy. However, I'm getting paid for this one, and Joe told me he wanted it for the fall, but we all know it'll look better this summer. So I wanted to make sure that I could finish it in time for another Day Boys show. Unfortunately, he did not make it, but that was great for me because I could use it in this video. As I was saying, with these granny clusters being my nemesis, I did not want to work on this for a little bit. It was really taking a lot of activation energy for me to pick it up and start working. And I also started working on a cloud blouse by Petite Knit, which was something that I was like way more excited about at the time. However, I lost yarn chicken with that, and I now have to figure out how I'm going to get more yarn because it's been discontinued. But that's for another day. So with this deadline in mind, and with it as my only project, I finished it pretty quickly, and let's be honest, it is the best one that I've made to date. So if we hold this shirt next to the other green and white shirt that I made, it's really wild to see how much I've improved in my crocheting. Practicing is not a skill that comes easily to me. I have found that the joy of making clothing that looks good still lends itself opportunities to practice, because while the original green shirt absolutely looks great, it looks good on, it looks like a finished object, the new one is even more of a professional level quality. The stitch tension is really even, the size is even, and that's just a testament to the time and effort that it takes to make this multiple times and learn from it and improve and get better without even noticing it. I am not someone to make a pattern multiple times. I have actually never made another pattern twice, let alone 4. So the fact that I feel like I woke up one day and I had 4 of the same shirt under my belt has been a very funny experience for me. Because while along the way that I've been making these shirts, I don't feel like I necessarily have lessons that I can point to that I learned. But now when we look at all of them side by side, it's really impressive to see how much I've grown. Starting with this flop of a cotton relaxagon made with way too heavy, way too stiff yarn, to this latest version, which is a beautiful, flowy, comfortable, and cool shirt. I'm really thrilled to see just how much my ability to make clothing has improved. Lately, I've been feeling like making clothes is an underrated skill. With fast fashion and Shein and Temu and all these different companies giving you accessibility to honestly similar garments that are at a substantially lower price point. For transparency, I'm going to charge Joe $80 for this shirt. It was about $30 in materials, and while I don't really think that $50 in time and labor is exactly the amount of time that I put in. It's what I feel is fair, and it is in goodwill. However, if you're going on Shein and you're seeing shirts that are crocheted and they look like they are actually crocheted, that means that someone is there in China hand making it. Take the time to think about how much work goes into the clothing that you wear every day and really appreciate it for what it is. Clothing has become so commodified that everyone seems like they need to have 600 versions of everything, but in reality it takes a long time and it takes a lot of artistry and practice to perfect. You wouldn't spend money on this shirt, but it's worth it because I got to make something really, really wearable at the end of it. Fast fashion rant over. Thanks so much for sticking around and watching this whole video. Subscribe, that would be fun if you want to see more of my videos, and make sure to like this one if you enjoyed it. Let me know what you're working on in the comments, and if there's anything else you'd like to see me talk about. Currently, I am knitting a cloud blouse by Petite Knit and expect a new video about that sometime in the next month. That's all for now. Thanks for joining.